Okay, welcome back from Thanksgiving. Um, so here's the plan. We're going to cover half of 14 today, the other half of 14 on Wednesday, and then on Friday we're going to review for the final. The final will open up. There will be no quiz this week or weekend. The final will open up Monday morning. You'll have until midnight Friday. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay, sweet.
Good.
So this is one of the more, in my opinion, interesting lectures, um, because I believe that most people who major in psychology, um,
Did you need some?
this is what's drawing them, are these topics, are motivations. They want to better understand the human mind so they can help people, or they want to understand human behavior, what's driving it, really, from an evolutionary or biological approach. So first, let's define motivation. Right? It's an inferred process within a person or an animal, which is stupid because people are animals, that causes us to move toward something we want or away from something we don't. Now we have motivators. We have things that motivate us intrinsically, meaning things that we like doing for the sake of doing it. We like watching movies. We like cooking. We like reading. We like riding a bike. We like talking with our friends. We're not getting a reward for that, right? So we are intrinsically motivated to do those things. Extrinsic motivation is where you're getting a reward. The reason you're doing it is because you're going to get something for it. Let me check something real quick. I'm going to stop sharing. It's going to take just a second.
What happened?
I had to stop sharing real quick.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, so I guess we'll stop. Oof. Let me see. Oof. All right. Today is going to be, um, yeah, okay. So we're going to cover 22 slides today out of 59. And there's a reason for it. Because I don't want to start the sex one until it's not sharing. Hold on. Because that's a whole topic right there. So on Wednesday we'll start with sex and the sex drive and that stuff. Okay. One of our basic motives to eat, right? So everything is rooted in what?
Needs. Wait,
Yeah, yes, Bob. That's correct. Needs. And there's a difference between needs and wants. And the things we need for what?
survival.
You got it.
Survival.
You got it. You got it. See, you you took the intro class with me and you got it. That's the big ta-da. Every class that you take in college or in high school or grade school, every class you take has a big ta-da. Like here's the overarching important theme. And that's exactly right. Survival. Okay. So, which do you think is the biggest influence on a person's body weight? Their genes, their mood, the quality of food, or the quantity of food?
Their mood.
I think it's more the quantity and actually the mood. I think that has a lot to do with the quantity of food you eat in
Mm.
some people
Mm-hmm.
that
Is this
have
a trick
a
question?
disorder.
What do you think, Hammer?
Is this a trick question?
No, there really is a bigger influence. One of these things is the biggest influence on our weight.
It's probably
Quantity.
she was right. Probably.
It's our genes.
Really?
Think about it. Don't you know those people who, no matter how much they eat, they just don't gain weight? And don't you know those people that doesn't matter how much they eat, they still gain weight? It's your
But
gene.
I have a question.
It's the most influential, not the only. Go ahead, Tosh.
Because my mom is like 5 foot tall and like 100, and she looks like a Barbie. And so
Huh?
does the rest of my family. And I'm like the fat one. So how does that genes? My dad's like 6'3" and 6'3", and he's not very big.
Hmm.
So I don't know how genes played in our. I must be
Yeah.
oddball.
'Cause I'm 5'2" and I weigh 99 pounds.
Yep.
No
my
way.
Mom, my
So-
mom is like 5'4", but she weighs 150, maybe
Yep. So
more.
it's not, again, it's the most influential, not the only, right? So just look around you when you're in public. Look around and you can see families. And when you look at families, they typically, they have similar bone structure, typically. Okay. So it's not the only thing though, right? So heavy people are no more or less emotionally disturbed than average weight people. Heaviness is not always caused by overeating. There's something called the set point theory, and that is our hypothalamus in our brain, remember, that controls the 4 F's, the feeding, the fighting, the fleeing, and the fricking. The hypothalamus is constantly tasting the blood and saying, we need some more testosterone, we need some more leptin, and we need some angiotensin, or we need some more whatever. Okay. So what happens is when we gain weight, it feeds the our fat cells release hormones and leptin, and it's going, that is a good amount of weight. So every time we gain weight, the hypothalamus says, ooh, that's the weight we want to maintain. Why do you think the hypothalamus does this? Why do you think it doesn't say, no, that's not our normal weight, that's too much? Why do you think that our hypothalamus is designed to adjust itself to every time we gain weight to say, yes, eat more? Or I should say, eat to keep that.
Because it enjoys it or fuels it.
Good. Why? What's the why?
To maintain it.
Also to maintain some equilibrium.
Okay, so Bob was first. Go ahead, Bob.
Your body, once it gets it wants to maintain a level in which it's how else can I say this? A level in which it's comfortable. Once you get to a certain weight.
Yeah, but Koku, why
Yeah,
does our hypothalamus constantly change what it thinks is the perfect amount of weight?
I think because he needs to maintain some equilibrium.
It needs to maintain a what problem?
Equilibrium. I don't know how to say equilibrium or
Like a balance.
the balance. Yeah.
Okay. So everything that we have, that is about us, we have for a reason, right? And what did we say that reason was?
Survival.
Survival. Our ancestors didn't have grocery stores. Our ancestors didn't have, long time ago, they didn't have agriculture. They couldn't go out to a field that they had, sown the seeds, and they could just go out and pick an ear of corn whenever they wanted. They were hunters, they were gatherers, right? So they took what they could take whenever they could take it. So as a result, our ancestors were very light. They were very lightweight. Okay. So long story short, it benefited our ancestors for us to be able to change what we call is our set point, which is like our set weight. Mm-hmm. We evolved to change that. So if we suddenly came into a big, a lard of store of food, right? We came across this big fatty animal and we ate all of it. We're like, yes, and we gained, let's say, a pound. Hypothalamus is like, yeah, that's your ideal weight now. So it didn't matter if they went back to their regular diet. Their body's metabolism would change what it took in and store it to maintain that additional pound instead of releasing it in waste. So what it means is our ancestors, let's say hundreds of thousands of years ago, they were, let's say the average weight was 150 pounds. Let's just say, okay, all right. Then they come across this huge herd of animals, and for like a good 2 weeks, a month, they have all of this food, and it's just like they have fish and they have deer and they have fruits, and they're like, wow, and everybody gains weight. Like let's say a pound or two, right? Now they go and they deplete the resources and they move on. So they go, and then now they're back on their regular diet where it's just, well, they get this that day and they get that day, whatever. They still maintain that 152-pound weight based on the original amount of food they had before, because their bodies change. The body changes to metabolize it different, to store any food coming in as fat to maintain that additional 2 pounds.
That makes sense.
Good, because the heavier we are, the longer we can survive. And that's it. I'm looking at Hammer's face. Tosh seems okay. Bob
Don't
said,
look at my face.
well, is it confusing?
Yeah, the heavier we are, the longer we can survive.
Yeah, I'm trying to like think of it in like the reverse effect of like if you go without eating, your body, once you do get food, your body will store it
Yep.
longer
Yep.
to
Yep.
because it doesn't know when its next meal.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yep. And Tosh, what did you just say?
I was confused about how the heavier you are, the longer you
Yes.
live.
Right. Okay. So if you have someone who is malnourished, you have an individual who's malnourished, and then they have to go a week without food, they're more likely to die than someone who is nourished. Okay, you get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It may not be like weeks advantage, but if it might be a few days, and that might be all you need to get that animal. So we have evidence of this by looking at identical twins today. Identical twins typically have similar body weight distribution, and they gain weight and lose weight in the same patterns at similar ages, right? So they'll gain weight, just before puberty, and then they'll both drop it a little bit together, or they'll keep it together. And then later in life, the weight will gain in certain spots. Maybe they both have thick thighs or big butts or little butts or flat stomachs or, big bellies, or, you know what I mean? So this is evidence, because identical twins have the same genes. If they have basically the same weight and basically the same weight distribution, well, there's evidence. Okay, let's see. What do I want to teach you? We're going to skip leptin. We're going to skip that. We're going to skip it. You know what? Just the first line, because I did already mention it. I want you to the first line right here. Leptin is a protein, okay, a protein hormone that travels through the blood and influences the hypothalamus. Okay, so what it does is it thinks that, or it's released by fat cells. So when we have a lot of fat cells, it's releasing a lot of leptin, and it tells the brain you don't need to eat because you got a lot of fat, essentially. So it tells us you're good. There's a lot of leptin, you're not hungry. If there's low leptin, you're hungry. Any questions about that? And down
I
here,
never spell this word.
Leptin.
No, this one right here. This up, whatever it is. Hypothalamus.
Hypothalamus. Yep, that was from chapter 4.
Yeah.
The 4 Fs. Okay. So of course, other things can contribute to our weight, right? Other genes and body chemicals, receptors. Sometimes just the smell of food makes us want to eat it, right? Even the sound of food can make us want to eat it, right? On commercials, they have someone frying up a burger, grilling up a burger, and they got when you get the little sizzler with the things, they got the little sizzler plate, and they put it on the table, and you can hear the crackling of the frying of the fajita chicken and the peppers, whatever. Yeah, that makes you hungry. Okay. We also have receptors in our mouth for the taste. That makes us hungry. If we just taste something, we're like, I want more of that. And in our stomach, right? Our stomach senses when it's empty, and it releases something called ghrelin to eat. So our brain will respond to sugary foods even if we can't perceive the sweetness, but our brain responds to it. This right here. Many researchers believe that individuals who are overweight and physically fit are actually healthier than individuals who are sedentary, meaning they don't move, and thin. So this brings us back to the point of how is it beneficial to be slightly overweight? Well, as long as you are physically fit, as long as you are active, you are actually healthier than a person who is underweight. Questions?
You know, it's just kind of hard because when you look at somebody and you see them and they look overweight, you think, or we're trained
Yes.
to think
Yes.
that they're automatically unhealthy,
Yes.
which in reality may be quite the opposite.
Yes. That's exactly right.
I think too, you know, on taking into consideration that they're just saying overweight, not obese.
Correct. That's correct. Not obese.
That's what I'm doing my presentation on. So,
Yep.
or this is a part of it.
Yep. So it's all about our culture, right? And what we value, right? Because we're so individualistic, we focus on individual successes and achievements. So of course, the environment can have an impact on our weight. The increased abundance of fast food, right? Every corner in a city has some fast food place. Widespread consumption of high sugar, high calorie soft drinks, a sharp decline in exercise and other expenditures of energy, increased portion sizes of our foods and drinks, and the abundance of highly varied foods, right? What do you feel like eating tonight? How about tacos? Let's go to Taco Bell. What do you feel like eating tonight? Cheeseburgers. Let's go to Five Guys. What do you feel like eating tonight? Chicken wings. Let's go to Bazzano's or whatever they call that place. Bozos. What do you feel like
Bazzano.
pizza? What is it?
Bazzano's.
Bazzano's. Everybody talks about those chicken wings, and I'm dying to try those chicken wings. They have some kind of sauce. I don't know. What's it called?
Hot sauce.
Yeah, but they call it something.
Oh, I don't know.
Hobies. No, is it Hobies? Hobies. That's the name. They have some chicken wing sauce that everybody would kill each other for. I don't know, but I'm dying to try it. But I like going to Buffalo Wild Wings. But if you want pizza, let's go to Pizza Hut or Bazzano's or wherever, the Domino's, or right. We have all these different. You want chicken? How about we go to KFC? We go to Chick-fil-A. I don't go to Chick-fil-A. They're
Me
messy.
neither. I don't go out to eat at all.
Well, I've never
I
had
make my own.
Chick-fil-A, but I like Burger King a lot. I like Burger King. In many cultures where food is a rarer commodity, fat or fatness is viewed as a sign of health and affluence, meaning higher status in men, and it's sexually desirable in women. Although people of all ethnicities and social classes have been getting heavier, the cultural idea for white women, the ideal rather, has been getting thinner and thinner. Whereas the cultural ideal for men has also changed. Muscles used to mean working class, like, oh, low status, you're nobody. Now muscular bodies symbolize affluence. Yeah, you know what's interesting about, so I don't know if anybody's ever noticed this or not. We haven't talked about it, but you know when like if you look at like from generation to generation, just go by decades, right? Look at the men in say the 50s, and what did they look like? If you look at pictures of men in the 50s, what do they kind of look like?
Just, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, let's say someone showed you a picture and say, "Oh, this is my grandfather from 1952." What's he going to look like?
Normally thinner. It's normal. They're not bulky or anything like that, but
Yeah, no. What's his hair going to look like?
Probably
well,
like
you know,
short.
Like
Short.
greaser.
Yeah. So what
Black.
is his facial hair going to look like?
There won't be much.
there won't
That's
be.
right. Now we go from the 50s to the 60s. What happens to men's hair then?
It's
It's
ridiculous.
long. Yeah.
What happens to men in the 70s with facial hair?
Like
Yeah.
ZZ Top.
Beards, oh, Houlihan, tons of beards. Facial hair was in. But what happens to men in the 80s?
It's all trimmed up
The
and
beards are out again, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's high class in business. Men in the 90s and then the thousands. What I'm saying is, if you want to know when, here's the thing. Remember when I remember in the 90s and in the early thousands, beards weren't a thing. But then in the late thousands and then the 2010s, all of a sudden beards were a thing again. And they're going to be not a thing again. And then they're going to be a thing again. And then they're not going to be a thing again. So what happens with style is we keep going like this way and then this way and then this way. And we just keep going back and forth and back and forth. And women do it too. It's hilarious. All right, let's talk about some eating disorders.
oh man, that's way too skinny.
Yes. Bulimia nervosa, right? The binge purging, eating, and then throwing it up. Or there's other ways of doing it. You can use laxatives, right? Poop it out. Then there's anorexia nervosa. You're just starving yourself essentially. Both they don't want. Both are focused on their weight. Okay. Anorexia nervosa has a distorted body image, radically reduced consumption of food, and emaciation. So of course, with bulimia nervosa, one of the biggest problems is you start to deteriorate your esophagus and you have digestive problems and yeah,
Oh,
it's sad. Let's talk about love, the biology of love, neurological origins of passionate love, right? Passionate, that's that high arousal in the presence of another person, right? The neurological origins of passionate love begin in infancy, when infants attach to the mother. When infants are so attached to the mother, they're like, yes, here you are, here you are. And that's the same feeling, the same arousal, the excitement, the thrill when we're in the presence of a loved one, like as in like a passionate lover, right? So certain neurotransmitters and hormones are involved in pleasure and reward that are activated both in the mother-baby bond and the pair bond of adult lovers. So what we find is that when we look at the brain's activities, when a person looks at their children, the brain responds similarly to when a person's looking at a picture of their sweetheart. They're getting reward from it. They're releasing oxytocin, vasopressin, which are these bonding hormones. Okay, and then you have endorphins, right? That arousal, the heart racing. Like Hammer knows, she's got kids. Coco, you got children, right?
Yes, I do.
You love your kids, right?
Right.
Yeah, and every now and again you see your kid and you're like, man, I love you. I love you a lot. Now get away from me. You're too loud. Yeah. So the idea here is that, our love and our love styles as adult begins when we're infants, based on our attachments to our caregivers, typically the mother. So what do you think? You think you're more likely to date someone who's taken the same classes as you rather than someone in a different major? Do you think that's true?
Yes,
Why, Tosh? Correct.
because you're physically seeing them, so the arousal is there.
Oh, yes. So there's two parts. That's right. One is proximity, meaning the more we see someone, the more we interact with someone, it's called the mere exposure effect, the more we like them. And then there's lastly similarity. If they're taking the same classes as you, or you know what I mean, like classes mean they have the same major, you're going to like them because you have similar interests.
So
Similar
is that whole absence makes the heart grow fonder a load of
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. That's absolutely correct.
And it does the opposite.
Yeah,
I
because you know
had
what
a
hap-
feeling.
right. So what's the opposite of absence makes the heart grow fonder? Out of sight, out of mind.
Mind.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. So the attachment theory of love, like infants to their caregivers, adults have attachment styles to their partners. You have a secure attachment with your partner. You're not jealous. You're not worried about being abandoned. You trust them. They trust you, I guess, right?
I mean, hopefully.
Anxious, right? You're agitated and you worried that they will leave you. So you're kind of a clinger. Avoidant is the exact opposite of anxious. And now you don't trust, right? And you avoid intimate attachments. You're like, not into it. Secure, I'm into it and I'm comfortable with it. Anxious, I'm into it, but I don't think that they're into it. Avoidance, like, I'm not into it. It's the same attachment styles we have with our caregivers. Now, what are the three ingredients of love? Intimacy means closeness, right? It's based on a deep knowledge of the other person, which accumulates gradually. Passion, right? That heightened arousal, right? It's generated by novelty and change. You're like, ooh, look at him. He's new. Oh, I like his eyes. Whoa, look at the keister on that thing. Whoa, she's got nice hair. I don't know, something, whatever you guys are into. Passion, right? And then there's commitment, and that is what it is, loyalty. So those are the three key ingredients to love. When we have all three, passion, intimacy, and commitment, we call it consummate love because it's all consuming.
What is it called?
So
Consummate, C-O-N, consummate, S-U-M-A-T-E, consummate love. What is it, Tosh?
So passion would be like why people have affairs.
Yes.
Because they're driven to the passion
Correct.
that they're missing.
That's correct.
So I wonder how people keep that going. That's been married for, 40, 50 years. That same level. So they don't. I mean, what is it? What is the difference between somebody that's married 40, 50 years and finds that passion in his partner and the guy that is married for a year and thinks he needs something more?
Here, this one, similarity.
Yeah, I
Those
think
that,
people either grow together or grow apart.
yep.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna say
the-
the same.
The key to success in relationships has always been similarity. If you have similar ideas, similar values, similar personalities, interests, likes, similar dislikes, you're happy. You're just happy. You don't have to put up with their nonsense because they agree. Yeah, not washing the dishes after 4 days is gross. You don't have to fight about it. The psychological factors in love, the perception by both partners that the relationship is fair, rewarding, and balanced. So why does each partner want to maintain the relationship? The good, the positive is to enjoy the affection and intimacy. The negative is to avoid feeling insecure and lonely. When we say negative, meaning you don't want to lose something, right? Positive means to give, negative means to take away or lose in that respect. So, meaning the positive motivation is to keep something, to get something. Negative is to lose something, to avoid losing something, essentially. Gender, culture, and love. Males and females respond similarly to love at first sight, although one study found that men were 20% more likely to fall in love at first sight, according to self-report data. When they asked them, have you ever fallen in love at first sight or something, more men will say yes than women. But they respond similarly to passionate love, companionate love, the heartbreak of unrequited love, secure and insecure attachments, and they both experience breakups similarly. Although we don't perceive it that way, right? Men usually think that when women break up with them, or let me put it this way, men usually think that women handle breakups better than men, and women think that men handle breakups better than women, because that's what you're seeing.
Do men really think that?
Yes. Yes. It's called perceptual salience. What we know ourselves better than anyone else. We know our thoughts, we know our motivations, we know our hates, our loves, we know our pains better than anyone else. So when we're observing someone else in pain, we are removed from it, as in we're not feeling it directly. So what is most salient or purest is what we're feeling directly. So it has an impact on our perception of pain in others, because we're not feeling it directly like we do ours. So we think it hurts us worse. So how do we express love differently? Anybody want to guess? What's different between, typically, not always, of course, but what's different between men and women when it comes to expressing their love?
Women tend to be more need more physical attention, meaning, or women are more touchy feely, I think, than men are. Most men.
Okay,
That's just a
yes.
guess. I don't know.
No, you're not wrong, but the way you said it could mislead someone to thinking something else. So the difference is women express love by saying it. They say, I love you, I care for you, I need you. Where men express love by doing something. I've changed the oil in your car. I've built you that shelf that you wanted. Okay, now you know I love you. So men and women used to have different goals and choices of partners. So this is the parental investment theory. The idea is that a woman would choose their mate, our ancestors. A woman would choose their mate, a man, based on his resources, his social status, his strength. Okay, to raise offspring to have the best resources. Whereas a man would choose a female, a woman, based on her youth, her attractiveness. And that lends itself to producing better offspring. Not better offspring per se, although the older we get, the more genetic abnormalities we have, but just by having chosen a younger female partner to make babies with, that female has a better chance of delivering the baby successfully without dying. She also has more energy to take care of the offspring. And there it is. And the offspring has better quality offspring, essentially. So what that meant was that men, given that dynamic, given that organization, given that approach, they had the opportunity to be romantic, meaning they had to romancing a woman was a way of saying, look, here are flowers, I have resources. Okay, where women were more pragmatic. What else do you have? Do you have property? can you beat someone up that tries to take your property? What else do you have? How tall are you? Are you going to make healthy children? Right? What do you offer? So men were the more romantic, and the women were more pragmatic. But as our culture changes, as our civilization changes, women have developed over time economic independence. They became self-sufficient. And then they could be romantic. They could start to select. And you see it now. Cougars, right? Cougars, women who like younger men, right? That was unheard of generations ago. Unheard of. But now, because women can afford to live on their own, not under the thumb of men, they can make their own decisions. You're like, you know what? Maybe I'd like something sexy. You ever think of that? Okay. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop recording.